It is 6:15, happening now stimulus status. After last week's failed attempt, what's the likelihood that Congress can pass a second stimulus package before the November 3rd election?
Joining us right now live via Zoom, Alabama Senator Doug Jones. Senator Jones, good morning to you, sir.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
You bet. Thanks for coming on. So let's start right there. What chances do you give for that second stimulus bill to be approved by Congress this year?
Well, look, there's some talks going on. When I got back up here yesterday, I was, I was surprised to learn, quite frankly, but happy to learn that there are some talks going on. So we'll see. I left here last week pretty pessimistic. My optimism has grown somewhat, but we still have a long ways to go. This has become more of a partisan issue, and folks need to put those partisan issues aside and let's get this done, because I do think people are hurting out there. There's still a lot of work that we can do, a lot of things Congress can do if we can get together like we did the last time. We've just got to pull the partisanship aside as we get toward an election, and let's get this thing done for the American people, American businesses, American hospitals, cities and counties, all that need some help right now.
It was a lighter bill that the Republicans proposed. Isn't that better than nothing at all? What do you think?
No, that was a bad bill.
Okay.
It was a lighter bill only because it was a political bill.
Okay.
Senator McConnell didn't want a bipartisan bill. He wanted one that he could get a lot of his folks on. And the fact is that he had to kind of go down in order to get 20 members of his caucus to join. It was not a good bill. There were a lot of things that were in it that were not appropriate, but also it was so much that were left out. If he wants to take that bill and start, we can talk about it, but we've also got the HEROES Act, and we need to kind of just meet somewhere between those two packages, and let's get something done.
All right, Senator Jones, let's switch gears real quick and talk about today's anniversary of the 1963 16th Street Baptist Church bombing. 4 young girls died in that bombing. You prosecuted 2 of the Klansmen who bombed that church. What can we learn from tragic events like that one as we try to move forward, given the current racial tensions we're seeing right here in our country?
Well, it's always a somber occasion on this anniversary, but I think this year it's even more poignant. I think there's so many similarities between what was happening in 1963 when you saw police brutality with fire hoses and dogs, and this year, all of a sudden, the pandemic, as well as the deaths of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and others, have put a spotlight on those racial disparities and inequities that we still haven't really fully addressed. We've made a lot of progress in Alabama and across the country. We still have a long way to go, and it seems like this year there's going to be more of a spotlight. There's going to be more of a reflection on where we have come in those 57 years. And I think people, when they look at it realistically, they know we've come a long way, but we've still got a long way to go, and it's this new generation, these younger folks, who I think can help us take it across the finish line.
Senator Jones, we have just less than a minute to go. As you know, President Trump has issued an emergency declaration for Alabama as Hurricane Sally is slowly approaching the Gulf Coast. How soon after the storm moves through would we be able to see the disaster relief efforts moving through from Washington?
Well, it'll be a little bit, because we've got to determine, number one, the extent of the damage, because there's certain thresholds with FEMA that have got to be met. So there's got to be some quick damage assessment. My experience in the last couple of years as your senator has been that we have been able to get FEMA there very quickly to start working. Then it will take some moment of time, but there's also going to be a lot of private relief efforts. People coming in. I'm going to try to move as quickly as I can. We may have to do an additional appropriations because we had all manner of disasters, a couple of weeks ago with the hurricanes in Louisiana and Texas. Couple this, it's going to be some serious problems, and we've got to start looking at what it's going to take from Congress, because some money has been moved out of the emergency management budget right now in order to fund President Trump's orders. We got to make sure we get that money back in, so there's money to get to Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana.
That's some new information right there. Could take additional appropriations. We appreciate your time. We'll talk to you again down the road. Alabama Senator Doug Jones, thanks for your time this morning, sir.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Senator Jones.